Hi, this is Christian, and welcome back to NFL Updates Express, your weekly dose of NFL news, coming your way Week 8 predictions. In the Spotlight Game of the Week, it's a great matchup between two NFC East rivals, as the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, both of these teams have really surprised me this season. I didn't even expect the Eagles to be in contention for the playoffs, and the Cowboys, without Tony Romo, I didn't think they'd be as good. But Dak Prescott arguably has played better than Romo has in years past, and Carson Wentz has seemed like the real deal for the Philadelphia Eagles in his rookie season. Both these teams have pretty solid defenses too, not spectacular, but the Eagles really turned it on in the past few weeks, and the Cowboys have a complementary defense to combat their really awesome running attack and their obviously dominant offensive line. This should be a very entertaining game on both sides of the ball, and I think it will come down to the final wire as these teams try to gain pole position in the NFC and the NFC East division. But overall, I see the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium getting the job done. Dylan's prediction is the Philadelphia Eagles. It's another matchup in part of the International Series in London as the Washington Redskins take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the Redskins, they let one slip away last week in a 20-17 loss to the Detroit Lions, and they really need every win they can get, even with the winning record right now, but in a very tight NFC East division. I think the Redskins really need to focus on getting that out of their system and getting ready to take on a very strong Cincinnati Bengals team, which they've actually struggled a little bit at a 3-4 record, but they still have the talent to make it to the playoffs and maybe deep in the postseason if they can get rid of their postseason woes in years past, the past 5 years. The Bengals, well, they have a pretty good offense and their defense is good too, and I just don't know why they have a losing record right now. It's a mix of maybe inconsistency and a couple of other things, but I think the Bengals will be perfectly fine. But this should be a tough task for both teams. I mean, I think they match up well with each other. The Redskins have a pretty potent offense at times, and the Bengals do with AJ Green, Giovanni Bernard, and Jeremy Hill. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But overall, in London, I think I'm going to take the Washington Redskins to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Dylan's prediction is the Cincinnati Bengals. In the next Spotlight Game of the Week, it's the Green Bay Packers as they take on the Atlanta Falcons in the Georgia Dome. Now, the Packers and the Falcons, well, they have winning records, but they haven't looked as strong as they have in weeks past, as the Falcons have dropped 2 straight games after starting the season 4-1 and looking like the best team in the NFC. And the Packers, well, they've been a little inconsistent. They're 4-2, but they struggled against the Bears for at least half of the game, and against the Minnesota team, their other loss, well, you can't really blame them for a strong Minnesota defense that currently has the best defense in the league. So I think the Packers will be just fine. But the Falcons, well, they imploded last year. They started the season off 5-0, but then they went 8-8 to close the year, and that was not good enough to make the playoffs, obviously. And so the Falcons are trying to avoid that again, and they take on a very strong Packers team that matches up really well with them on both sides of the ball. The Falcons have an explosive offense, and they'll like to get Julio Jones involved as he already has 830 yards this season and 4 touchdowns. And so if they can get him going against this rough Packers defense, then I think the Falcons can get the job done. But I don't see that happening. I see the Packers being the better team, and they'll get the win here. Dylan's prediction is the Green Bay Packers. In the last Spotlight Game of the week, it's an NFC Championship rematch when the Arizona Cardinals take on the Carolina Panthers. Now, both of these teams, well, are expected to be the top teams in the NFC, but things change year by year. The Panthers 1-5 and the Cardinals 3-1 after their tie last week against Seattle. And both teams just really haven't found their way so far. The Panthers' offense seems to be clicking, but their defense is one of the worst in the league. They cannot stop anybody. And the Cardinals, well, their offense has been really inconsistent, and they can't capitalize and score touchdowns, instead have to settle for a lot of field goals, even though the Cardinals' defense seems to be in top form after a rough start to this season. So both teams really want to see if they can get back on track against each other, the top 2 teams in the NFC of last year. I think the Panthers, for them to win, their defense has to show up big this game. Their offense, I mean, they know what they're getting out of Cam Newton, Greg Olsen, and the Carolina Panthers offense. But if their defense can't stop anybody, it doesn't matter if the Panthers score 40 points because the Cardinals will score 41. And for Arizona, well, they simply just have to score points, and a lot of them. It might be a track meet again with the Panthers defense struggling. So I think it will be a pretty good game, high scoring indeed. But overall, I see the Arizona Cardinals getting the job done in Charlotte. Dylan's prediction is the Arizona Cardinals. The player of the week is Tennessee Titans running back DeMarco Murray. Now, after having a rough season last year in Philadelphia, he got traded to the Titans, and boy, has he not looked back. It's been an amazing season for him. Already halfway through, he has 800 yards nearly and 6 touchdowns. If he can keep this up, maybe he can propel the Titans to an AFC South title. Week 7 of the NFL season is in the books, and here's how the scores went. It was the Packers over the Bears on Thursday Night Football, 26-10. The Giants over the Rams, 17-10. The Chiefs over the Saints, 27-21. The Colts over the Titans, 34-26. The Eagles upset over the Vikings, 21-10. The Bengals over the Browns, 31-17. The Lions over the Redskins, 20-17. The Raiders over the Jaguars, 33-16. The Dolphins over the Bills, 28-25. The Jets over the Ravens, 24-16. The Buccaneers over the 49ers, 34-17. The Chargers in overtime over the Falcons, 33-30. The Patriots over the Steelers, 27-16. The Seahawks and the Cardinals tie in overtime. And the Broncos over the Texans, 27-9. The most entertaining game was Chargers versus Falcons, and the upset of the week was also Chargers versus Falcons. My prediction record for this week was 9-5-1. Dylan's was 10-4-1. My prediction record for the entire year is 54-55-1. Dylan is 62-47-1.